forget.
My father-in-law is a general manager, was a general manager of a country club. And at his country club, he'd have to be on his best behavior, but he always loved going to the other country clubs for dinner. And I asked him, I was like, these are competitors? Like, yeah, but they serve me dinner here. It's awesome. I was like, I like that. I like that.
All right. Yeah, so Samir brought up this kind of important point, which is in our, I think you put it in general in our Slack channel. I can't remember what the exact verbiage was, but why don't you reiterate that one more time, and then kind of start a little bit.
Well, this seems to be the common thread amongst many conversations, is how are people acquiring agencies? I'm personally interested in marketing agencies. It seems to be a struggle to successfully target acquire and onboard and then activate agencies. But even just reaching them is hard. And now, given this year is effed, there's no like event marketing to acquire them, which is usually how you meet agencies anyways. It's a mix of drinks and content. So now I'm just curious what people are doing, because I have the same mission.
Yeah, and we did agency persona and then incentives, but most of you who got that one-on-one last week, you got a little bit of how we like to reach out to agencies and what we like to do and how we like to approach them, obviously, and the mentality there. But acquiring can be all sorts of different channels and all sorts of different tactics. But I think what was super interesting about that conversation is how sales and partnerships are working together, and how some of you do not have any support from sales in this outreach process. It's all owned by one person or the partnerships team. Some of you have a partnership sales sort of BDR, SDR type person that maybe sits on the sales floor, but works only for the partnership team for lead generation. And then some of you have sort of converted someone off the sales floor to the partnerships team, so they have that process already dialed in. And the process is like, okay, let's take some data, let's put it through something, and what comes out the other side is warm leads, just like any sales process. And then you put those warm leads through your partnership process, which could include calling them, emailing them, maybe it's just nurturing them with content. But the really important thing is what is going on. That's why it's a roundtable and not just us talking about how we do it. So, I can start with how we do it, but we're not a SaaS company with a partnerships team and a sales team. So I think that's less relevant. But I think what's super important, I think Carol, yours was really interesting. And then Ashley, you had a setup that was also interesting, a little bit unique with how you guys created your sales process for the partnership side. But Carol, if you can actually start and just tell us how it works inside of Leadfeeder, I think that could be a really awesome sort of set the tone.
Sure. Hey everyone. I actually just spoke to Ashley last week, and she gave me tons of advice. So I think that she's going to be the go-to person for this call to share a lot of knowledge. But I can definitely tell you how Leadfeeder has been running it in the past year. So luckily, we're very inbound driven, and so when we started to focus our attentions on the partner revenue channel, we already had agencies come to sign up for Leadfeeder for themselves or for their clients, without any intentions of signing up as a partner. And so the first iteration of this was that we really just had to sit down with the sales teams, like, hey, here's a list of guidelines of what's qualified as an agency, and please pass it on to us when you do see it, right? And that's at its simplest terms. And due to the way our KPIs are structured, the sales team didn't feel like it was very competitive. They weren't competitive with us. It's all working as a team. So, and then the second step, after we proved that this was viable, the inbound channel, we started hiring someone for outbound. And this person is, so we have someone focused on the inbound channel, and then one person purely for reaching out through LinkedIn, through email, through video. They're working on building up their own personal brand on LinkedIn so that when they reach out to agencies see that, you know, they're a respectful person in industry. And then I spoke to Ash, and she said that, you know, Clutch.co was the Clutch list has been really valuable with finding relevant agencies. We're also building into our form, asking them if they're an agency. Simple as that, right? So now it saves time from, yeah. But of course, I wish I could just create that myself. It seems so simple, right? But it goes to my product team. They'll be released in the next cycle. But yeah. And then what else? Oh, and then within the partnerships team, we also have someone doing the actual training calls or demo calls for the clients of these agencies. So we have two different types of relationships with our agencies. One, you know, they could decide to own the relationship, or two, they could leverage our resources and we would do the demo and close the sales. So we kind of have like three separate roles within our company.
Okay, I have a few questions around that,
Yeah.
but chat if you have any questions, anyone. But my questions are, first, when someone does designate agency as the drop down in the form, what are sort of the first steps on the automation side, or where does that lead go, and who follows up, and what's the SOP there?
Yeah, so we have a Slack. So we push all of our deals into Slack, and it notifies the sales rep, and we automatically create a deal in the CRM system too. In addition to the form fills, we also look at Alexa ranking as well. So we ask a couple of questions during the, like once they sign up to sign up for a trial is very like low barrier. We just ask for their email address, right, and the website. And then once they go through the process, then there's like a couple of steps. We're like, okay, so how big is your sales team? You know, what's your menus? Are you an agency? What's your role? And then based off all of that, in addition to the Alexa ranking, we decide if they're qualified, and they go towards specific people on our sales team.
Ah, very cool. Okay, I'll ask one more and then I'll let anybody else jump in. But the Alexa ranking. So, you know, I work with a number of agencies, large and small. Obviously, larger agencies, the Alexa ranking will be higher, just purely out of size and how long they've been around. But some of the best partners are people like Christopher at Measured Results Marketing. He's, you know, top Eloqua, top Marketo. If you put his website into Alexa, I don't know if it would be listed.
No. Correct.
So
yeah.
talk to me about what you do with everybody that doesn't hit that trigger, that minimum on Alexa. What happens then?
So actually, I forgot to mention. So that's definitely more relevant for our regular trial sales because our business is reliant on how much website traffic coming has. But I forgot we also add another element. We look at like built with and stuff to see like what type of tools they're using internally. So if it's one of the tools that we integrate with, you know, or work with, then like they're more qualified as well. But okay, so for everyone that's not qualified, we still have a Slack channel that pushes it's like an account update. So we see all the signups that come in all day long. And so we can always spot check it too. So I'll spot check it to say, okay, actually we need to be reaching out to this agency, and I push it towards, you know, a sales rep or a partner sales rep.
Okay. And do they get an autoresponder email at least saying, hey, we've got your information. We'll definitely reach out soon, but here, check out these resources in the meantime. Anything like that happens?
Not at the moment. Mm-mm.
Okay. So this is for everybody. So one of the complaints I've heard from agencies that have tried to get involved is they just a lack of communication all around, and they tend to bounce right at that point, or at least chalk it up to it's not worth pursuing because, you know, an agency that wants to partner with you, one of the main reasons is that extra level of support and that extra one-to-one relationship. So very important to make sure that happens.
So actually
ASAP.
we do have a landing page for partners who want to become a partner. And if they fill out an application, then yes, we do have an automated response. And we use Partner Stack actually. So it works out really, really well. But because primarily most of our partners come to our inbound like sales channel where they're literally signed up to use Lead Feeder, not to become a partner. And so we kind of poach those leads from the sales team and nurture the relationship from the beginning. So we train them on the product, and then we open up the discussion about, oh, by the way, like you look like you're a great fit.
Okay, so two different funnels. There's the partnership application, and then there's your demo funnel. Got it. Okay, I was mixing the two. So so the partnership funnel, Be very, very communicative. Give an autoresponder if at all possible. I do like. I mean, you use Clearbit for the Alexa and built with enrichment stuff.
No, we don't.
Can we say what you use? What's the
I don't
setup?
actually know, but I know we don't use Clearbit. They're our competitors. So we have probably use our own stuff. I mean,
yeah.
it's definitely not Clearbit.
That's why I was like, I'm very, very curious. Well, I mean, you guys don't do the enrichment on Alexa, right? On that stuff?
No, we don't.
Okay, I'm curious. Yeah.
Doesn't BuiltWith give you the Alexa ranking? It gives you Alexa and Cast.
So maybe that's it. Yeah, I just know it's not Clearbit.
Oh, plug into BuiltWith. Yeah. So we are looking at one partner, Dash. So Dash is almost it's a sheet format, but you are able to create and enrich different cells in the sheet with different rules. So they plug in to LinkedIn, they plug into BuiltWith, they plug into a number of different data sources. Hunter for email. And this is what's coming later, but they're actually adding an integration for us, which is going to be LinkedIn Sales Navigator, which will allow us to create custom sheets for everybody in our network. So when you give us your persona, the first thing we do is create a row in that dash report, which has a front end. So you can go in and order your personas off of this front end dash template that's for partner programs. So we're going to try to speed that up and get that done. So what will happen in the future is if you would like to tie in your own forms to that, you can download the template in dash and have it exist internally, but your forms will connect to it and it will automatically have the logic per cell plugged in. So it'll say, hey, make sure they're marketing and advertising in LinkedIn, their company page. Next step, make sure they're above 11 employees. Next step, make sure on BuiltWith, you pull in XYZ, Alexa ranking, whatever. And then once all of those match, then Hunter grabs their email and you get charged something like 1 cent per lookup per row. So every time you create those filters, it costs you a little bit of a server request, but really cost effective. So we're trying to help all of our teams sort of own that enrichment process and make sure that you have a little bit of control. So I really like to hear when you have automation set up where you can do that sort of qualification on an automatic level and do some of that data stuff. But then the big if is what you have the time and capabilities and resources to do. And Lead Feeder, you guys have a ton of traffic and inbound, and agencies love the product. Not everyone has agency inbound as high as you do. But Trustpilot, I think you guys are probably, 50-50. Maybe that's a little bit too generous, but what is Trustpilot doing right now with your agency outreach funnel and your sales development funnel for agencies?
Sure. Yeah. And thanks for having me. And Carol, thank you for the nice words. So I oversee the agency tech and platform partnerships. And so what we're doing today is definitely different from what we did when we got started. I think what drove our decision on how and who we partner with initially when I was building up the agency partner program in the US was around primarily who's currently in your ecosystem. Right. So unlike Lead Feeder, we don't have agencies that are really reaching out to use our services, but we do have agencies that were inbounding that had a client already in mind. So they were really just vetting our solution on behalf of a client. But that was bypassing the partnerships team and just going right out to sales. And this actually is part of just kind of an overall attribution issue that I think is common again among most partner programs, is that agencies are kind of having these discussions outside of your knowledge with clients, and they're sending them in our direction. Those clients are then inbounding, and then maybe the agency is participating in the sales cycle once they're involved with the rep. So at this stage today, we've trained our sales teams to do discovery around partners. So on their initial call, they ask if the client or the prospect is working with an agency, and if so, who. And then I've created a form that they fill out after they complete the demo that then sends a notification to my team with the agency info and the Salesforce link to the client. which then prompts my team to then reach out to the agency and say, hey guys, FYI, we're engaged with a client of yours. And so like literally every time we send an email to an agency that says subject line Trustpilot / client name, we get a response. It's like guaranteed. Agencies generally want to know who is speaking to their client and about what. So just kind of opening up that discussion has been really good for us to drive our agency partners, or at least who we want to acquire.
Ooh, that's so cool. I really like that. So the process, just to recap, so I understand it, is form comes in or demo or whatever happens. It ends up being a product, and they're demoing with sales. Sales ask them about who they're working with on the agency side, marketing, development, whatever. And if they are working with an agency, then they know they have a form to fill out that goes back to the partnerships team.
Yep, exactly. And I incentivize the sales reps to do that. So if they introduce my team to a new partner that then signs up into the partner program, we tell the sales rep that we will give them the first 5 referrals from that partner. So I can't spiff everybody for everything, but I can give them back what I can control, and I can direct where those referrals go.
Okay, yeah, and I'm making some notes here. I'll share the notes with everybody afterwards, but that's huge. So one of the bigger issues with sales and partnerships all around is obviously just who gets that commission and who gets that referral when it happens. So a lot of sales teams probably at your organizations are very close from partnerships because they have their own numbers to hit. And they want to own that revenue, and if they refer out, they lose control over that revenue. And Ashley, you're kind of a bridge between sales and partnerships, right? Your titles, weren't you head of sales for a little while and then partnerships, or how did the title transition work?
So I am the head of the commercial partnerships team, which basically just means any partners that are driving revenue and referrals. So not necessarily in charge of the sales team, just in charge of the sales partnerships. That was up until the top end of this year, and now I oversee tech and platform partnerships as well.
Oh,
So
awesome.
we collaborate with all the teams, sales, CS, product, marketing. We're kind of the middleman in between everyone.
Awesome. And so the best practices, if you have any feedback for someone that wants to create that similar system, say they think they can replicate that, ask the salesperson to fill out this form, which goes back to you. You send an email out, and then you attribute those first 5 deals to that partner. Can you talk about a couple things? I mean, any best practices around how that works, and then what software, any automation or anything software related that is required to make that happen?
Sure. So I think the sales team is already, having discussions with clients that likely work with agencies. So to be a consultative seller, you want to understand who's in the decision-making process for who and what vendors you're going to interact with or purchase from. And so we've just reiterated with the sales group, like, this is going to make you more consultative. There are conversations happening that you don't know about, and like, we're going to help to bridge the gap between your prospect and their agency. And agencies don't want to hear from sales reps. I'm sorry, they just don't. They don't want somebody hitting them up with the title of account executive. They want somebody with a partnerships title. It typically yields a higher response rate when I hit up an agency versus anyone that's in sales. So we initiate the handshake with the agency after that Google form is set up. So basically it's just a really simple Google form that just says like who the sales rep's name, the link to the Salesforce account for the prospect. Then we ask for the agency's website and or their Salesforce link if they're already a partner or they're in our system. And then that is just delivered to my team via email. One of my reps is really savvy with Zapier, so she actually set up what we call the partner lead fairy. And so when in our team Slack channel, we get a notification whenever a new form is filled out, and then I just assign that to a partner manager. It's pretty low tech to make that work generally. Outside of that Zapier.
What's that? Sorry.
Outside of that Zapier magic, it's pretty low tech. It's just getting the the reps to ask the questions and then kick it over the fence.
Yeah, we got something similar with Airtable. Airtable, by the way, of everyone, I mean, I'm gonna harp on Airtable through the entire accelerator. It's been a godsend for us for these types of automation, because with Airtable, you can create the form in Airtable, and then each individual cell can trigger an automation. And you can take the cell and say, is that a tag cell? Meaning you actually select a drop down. You mean you force the salesperson to select something as opposed to giving you some text-based answer. And then each time they do that, if they selected answer B versus A, in Zapier, you can say, hey, if B, do this automation, send an email out or notify Slack channel. If A, maybe send the rep an email, something like that. So I'm big on that. And Sanir's question here, I think, or Stacy's question first, I think this is an important one that is specific to your question or your statement around how agencies do not like hearing from people with the sales title. But she says, with what Trustpilot is doing, how do you balance the need for having a person to contact given the sales leads versus sales? So I think that's the reverse, is where the partner, the agency, is given a contact internally for the long term. So I'm assuming the answer is just you give them someone on the partnerships team and that's their contact. But how do you make sure that that partner is not put through this gamut of where the sales rep is telling the partner to refer to them, and then partnerships is, you know that whole
Yeah. So the sales rep essentially is just kind of taken out of the picture once we discover who the agency is. And so the partner manager reaches out to the agency, establishes the relationship, typically gets the referral agreement in place. And then once the agency has gone through onboarding, training, and so on and so forth, the next time they have a referral, we just introduce the sales rep for the discussion or the demo with the customer. So they're only customer facing. We don't close our own deals at the moment. We just kind of loop in a sales rep to work with the prospect. And then at the same point, the partner manager is interfacing with the agency to give them updates on, how the deal is going. We welcome them into calls if they'd like to participate. And then we also arm them with sales collateral and case studies to kind of back up any of the points that we've made in the sales cycle.
Yeah. Okay. That's super important. Okay. So that SOP, I'm going to try to articulate that in the notes. That's a really good one. And Sunir had a question based on the percentage of your total. I think this is total inbound. How many of those are signed up by a service company versus we'll use implementation? I think.
My question is the shadow channel. So like this is exactly what you're talking about. What I found too at both FreshBooks and Olark is that most of your people who are your service partners actually never talk to you. It's the same to what Alex was saying. They're just doing it anyway. They're working. They're either signing up for the client or the client is going to use them for implementation versus those who actually sign up. Like there's a conversion rate between those who are, just using you without talking to you and those who've actually converted your program. I was just wondering if you're measuring that in any way.
It's challenging to measure that. I think so that's actually what drove us to kind of force that discovery through sales, is because we knew we were bleeding attribution left and right. Like agencies were referring businesses to us all the time and we have no idea. And so like now we have our inbound sales reps that are doing the discovery, asking how they heard about us. The sales reps are doing the discovery during the sales process. So we're catching wind of at least some of it. I wish I had a number, because that would only help me to reiterate the point, the need for a PRM that I would hope to help solve some of those attribution losses that we're currently seeing.
Just to jump into that too, like now that you bring it up, I feel like that's something I should try and look into as well. But from just from the experience, before we formally had a partner revenue channel, we were still getting agencies sign up, right? And I had a list of agencies who never converted, but as soon as I talked to them, then they're like, oh, I had no idea I could use Leadfeeder for clients in such a way, or I gave them ideas on how to like increase their revenue, or like how to, increase their ROI, or decrease CPL doing using Leadfeeder. So after that conversation, then I was able to close deals from there, like, because they introduced their clients to us. But initially when they signed up, they never wanted to purchase for themselves. They didn't see the value until I talked to them. So, I mean, so without specific numbers, I think there's a huge loss, if we don't talk to them on that capacity.
We started tracking it at FreshBooks, like the number of referrals from bookkeepers and accounting. It was a lot more than you would think. So one question that's valuable to add, in my opinion, is in the sign up form, are you signing up for yourself or on behalf of a customer? And then the converse is, are you going to manage or implement this yourself, or are you going to rely on an outside company? It's just two simple questions. They don't really impact conversions very much, but gives you a pretty good idea how big this channel is.
Yeah, I have asked our demand gen team to implement that question on our inbound forms, and there's definitely a battle to get that done, as Carol, you've shared.
It's gonna finally happen after a year. So
congratulations.
These people have never heard of split testing. I know. Oh my gosh.
But we also have the onboarding team do discovery too. So we kind of have like 3 points of failure. You have like inbound ADR, then you have the sales rep, and then you have the implementation manager asking about agency at all 3 points. So at some point we have to catch if there's an agency working with them. I also do like some other sneaky stuff. Like I have Salesforce reports that are just searching for the word like client, refer, or agency in the comments on any sales demo that's completed. And then I get an email of that every single day. So if somebody forgot to fill out the form or chose not to, and they put that into Salesforce, I know about it. I'm like the eye of Sauron over our Salesforce data.
Oh, that would be huge. I would love to see that. I mean, I'd love to know just like the ratios. Like, you know, we ask in our partner questionnaire whether or not they buy software on behalf of their clients, if that's like an active practice. And depending on the agency type, the correlation is really interesting. So like a B2B, obviously a CRM implementation agency would be super high. They're going to do a lot of that sort of involvement because they already have the purview of the CRM and they need to go and grab that app over here. And just, you know, having control over that big of a piece of a software has a lot of trust inside. And then lead feeder, and, you know, you guys are a very big part of the lead funnel. And if I'm doing B2B marketing for a client, they don't have the data that lead feeder provides, I'm going to always ask that we buy it. And it's not even that expensive of a tool. So I'd assume, and Carol, maybe you know the numbers, but I assume that it happens a lot. It happens very frequently where the agency is going to go to lead feeder and maybe sign up on behalf of their client. They already have Search Console or Tag Manager access or analytics access. And it's an easy start to a free account. And then maybe they just send a login and have their client go back and fill out the credit card information, or they hopefully use
I would say
and go that route.
A majority of them. Yeah.
Yeah.
That happens. Yeah. But then a majority of them start off like that, but then after I speak to them, I incentivize them to productize lead feeder and build it into their services. So not just helping out their clients install lead feeder, but actually build it into their offering because it's another revenue channel for them.
This is where the conversation gets into. I want to do another one of these roundtables about product-led partnerships, which is something we're talking a lot about coming up, but it's really where you kind of measure and change the way that you onboard certain types of people in the product side. So like whether or not you do have that free account, whether or not you do have the ability to build out a profile first before they even have the opportunity to do any sort of upgrading, and then see what happens with agencies registering their clients. You make that very easy. No snippets need to be added to a website. You can just plug into accounts that you already have access to. You start to see the number of agencies registering their clients go up and up. And of course, we can't get all the data easily for this, but that is the assumption. And that's what's happening with tools like Leadfeeder. I have access to, I think, probably 10 to 15 Google Analytics accounts right now. If I really wanted to, if there was enough incentive for me from Leadfeeder, I could just go and log into one of my other email accounts and probably just plug Leadfeeder into every one of those sites that day, you know, and just those types of product-led partnership decisions and how that impacts agencies registering their clients for that tool, I think is super compelling data. But yeah, I think Shruti, you are also in this bucket where a developer that's building out the checkout funnel for a website, they're going to get to that point where they have to build a pricing page and what happens? You know, when that button gets pushed to sign up, do they get a pop-up from ChargeBee, or do they go into some custom area that the developer builds out? And that's a decision that you kind of have to put your product right there and say, hey, here's what it looks like when you just onboard your customer right then and there without having to go back to them and ask them permission. You can show them what it looks like, and then they can decide if they want that or want a different route, right? Same thing with lead feeder. You show them the data, say, hey, I didn't have to do anything. You know, there's no privacy concerns here. I'm literally just adding this to your analytics, show them the data, and if they want to use it and allow you to do stuff with it, great. So that's something that's really interesting. And I think Ashley, yeah, Anna sent me the free account offer from Trustpilot. So same kind of thing. It's another bigger conversation to have with your team around whether or not you are going to give agencies some level of freedom to sign up an account for themselves for their use, and then they show them how easy it is to just go ahead and set up their clients' accounts and get those rolling. So anyways, let me just look through the list of questions here one more time. Ty, what's up, Ty? Question for Carol real quick. We just launched our new agency program within PartnerStack 2 weeks ago. The partner application on your website is pretty simple, only 2 questions. Is your experience, what is in your experience, what information is most useful to accepting them into your program? So what information on that?
I'm gonna send the link to our partner landing page, which is gonna be scrapped at the end of the year. We're like revamping our entire website, but on that page, I have 3 different forms for 3 different buckets of potential like referral partners. And it's not letting me paste. So it's just, basically we have, so the certified partners form is the one that relates to agencies. And then we have one just for straight affiliates, just random people who wanna refer us. Maybe they're bloggers, influence, whatever. And then there's like community partnerships where we work with like co-working spaces, business incubators, accelerators, etc. So certified partners has their own form, and if you click on it, you'll see the questions asked. But we don't make it simple. We actually ask a good amount of questions. If you click on that one, I know the buttons aren't even different colors. It's like we don't.
You offer no partner preferred pricing for people who are just doing like more casual
sign-ups? So for the certified partners, they get perks. So they could either get a dedicated discount, like a lifetime discount for their clients, or they could earn a commission, or it could be split 50-50. Like they could earn like half commission, half discount. So it really depends on, what their business structure looks like and how they want to incorporate lead feeder. For some, they're just strict referrals, and others, like I said, we incentivize them to build it into their product offerings or service offerings, and then they can upsell from there. And we don't even white label. We don't white label at all. So affiliate, there's no form. If you're just a random person who wants to, we're not gonna stop you from it. So we make that just create, sign up and you're good.
Do you know if there's a gap between the affiliate program and the certified partner where you're losing opportunities, or?
I would say out of like the 1,000 of like affiliate partners that we get, maybe we've identified like a handful or 2 handfuls of agencies who should have signed up to our certified partner, but for the most part, no.
Oh yeah, so basically if you like this, your minimum of 2 clients a year is like is pretty good fit.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's
yeah.
interesting to know.
Because of like, we look at the lifetime value of like each client, like they refer, and if it's worth, So as long as they refer a minimum of 2 clients, they can become active. They can continue earning the commissions or getting the discounts. And then, we also offer co-marketing opportunities as well. Like, and Alex has been great at like giving us ideas and nudging us in the right direction in terms of like, getting expert quotes and all that good stuff.
Awesome. Thank you.
You're welcome. Any feedback on that? I mean, I know you briefly just looked at the form.
I have lots of feedback around billing models because that's what my upline is all about, but I'll offline it because that's very interesting to me.
Yeah, I was going to suggest, well, why don't you ask for their URL in the Certified Partner Program application? Just curious. Is there a reason for that?
It's either going to be in their email or their company name. So like it's one less question to ask.
Got it. Yeah, I was curious how. So that built with automation does it still happen on that form based on
No,
the
for
email
that
address?
form, we manually look through each form. And so that's where we ask questions. And that's so we could see who's worth it to, get on a call with. Yeah. But in terms of like our inbound trials, like agencies who are signing up for a trial account for their clients or themselves without going through the partnership program, that's when we have like the built with automations.
Got it. And then I'm not going to fill it out, but what happens after this form is filled out? Do I get back to lead feeder site or go right into partner stack, right?
It goes right into partner stack. Yeah.
Okay, got it. And have you experimented with anything there? I mean, I know there's not a whole lot you can do, but the experience of, okay, well now you get right into partner stack. I get an email with some links back into lead feeder so I can kind of get back into that world again. I'm just curious.
They do have email automation. I've just been guilty of not setting up all properly or just haven't had time to. But yeah, partners typically get like an email. Well, partners get an email once they're onboarded, but I actually don't have anything sent for applications. But that's because we do get back to them within 1 to 2 business days, 2 max, but usually within 1 business day, someone gets back to them. So it's usually quick enough.
Yeah, and hopefully they're thinking about certified partner program because they have a deal that they're signing up for right then.
And
so
most of the time that's the case. Yeah.
They're ready to be in partner stack. Okay, so yeah, I think an email with some of your co-marketing opportunities to get them right involved in the partner team on a positive note and get that experience really awesome for them. If that is something that you're doing at the time, like check these out. Here's some co-marketing opportunities that you can be involved in today. Here's my calendar, jump in, some of that kind of
We
stuff.
reserve that for our outbound tactics because for the inbound ones, we feel like if they already have clients, they're like an easy sell and we don't really need to incent. We only have so many blogs out there we can have expert quotes, right? So we actually use that for outbound because it's harder to crack. Yeah.
Tell that to DataBox. I mean, I think in the last week alone, they featured probably 70 agencies in their blog. I'm like trying to track it right now because I follow their head of strategic partnerships person, and she's posting all these new blog posts, and it's like 40 agencies comment on SEO and stuff like that. It's just like insane. But there's something for everybody to think about. I mean, the bigger thing here is, depending on your product and what level of product decisions are being made towards the partner acquisition funnel, there are 100% things you can do to make it easy for a partner to get your tool into their client stack without the friction, right? So there's a lot of frictionless stuff that I think Leadfeeder does very well. There's free accounts that you can give away. I just put a post up on LinkedIn. I had a conversation with someone today, and it was about the free account. And in my opinion, because it's SaaS and the agency needs to learn your SaaS to become a representative of the SaaS, the argument there against me is, Alex, well, what about that mentality of I'm just going to sign up because it's free. I'm just going to go and do it because it's free. And I'm just, I'm going to get 50 new accounts because of this free offer. And my response to that was, the agencies that you want to partner with are passive. They are in this mentality of, unless a customer comes to me and asks me to look into your tool or asks me to start researching your solution, meaning that vertical, that keyword that you're in, reviews or IP analysis or whatever, I'm going to be business as usual. I'm not going to take my time to do any of it. So our job as partnerships people, where marketing is going to get the people that are actively looking for you with SEO and demand gen. They're going to get those agencies that need you, meaning they're on search engines, they're on blogs, they're doing whatever. But partnerships needs to get them when they're in that passive state. And that means that you need to come to them with, hey, here's our offer to become a partner. Not, hey, here's a bunch of incentives and buy an account right now just for that 20% residual, but here's an offer to become a full partner, which means we're going to work together to sell into new accounts and do our partnership routine. That typically means you have to come to them with, hey, we want you to take your time to try out our software and use it. And in return for doing that, here's freedom to use it up to this extent, meaning you get an agency account, use it on whatever you want, or you get one account for one of your clients. And hopefully that actually creates a sticky relationship with you and your client. And in implementing, you learn what you need to know about our software. Then we can become partners after this is all done and you've gone through one of these implementations. So yeah, talk to the team about all of that and see if anything changes. But I think what I learned from this is very important around the SOPs with dealing with partners. Actually had some really awesome automations that are set up and some of the form stuff that happens. Use Slack, notify people, make sure they're getting responded to as soon as you can. If you have any way of making sure that you can connect those dark leads, those leads that are not associated with an agency, by either forcing sales to do it and creating that comment box at the end of the Salesforce lead. I love that. So having Salesforce send you a report of all of the comments each day, and then leaning on sales to say, hey, you didn't fill this out today. Can we make sure this happens next time and get that data? And then if it is a selection like select A or B, you can automate certain things and create really awesome communication, marketing automation stuff for your partners and make sure that SOP, that whole partner experience is really well done.
Is there a session on like copywriting for outbound efforts? There is, right? Because the reason I'm asking, we've tried giving away free accounts as a strategy. We tried for like a month straight for outbound and no one bit. Like it wasn't like compelling enough. So it made us believe like, okay, they're just getting this offer left and right. They just don't have time to research us. But like you said, the most common reason agents come to us is because their clients said, hey, we're looking for a solution that can do X, Y, Z. And that's how they found us. Yeah. So maybe our messaging was off. So I'd be interested to work on that with you and everyone else. Yeah.
Yeah, and it depends on how it looks and what it's for. It depends on if it's for the agency's use internally versus one of their clients' use and how valuable and all of that kind of stuff. But the bigger thing is if you are in a conversation with someone who didn't come to you, you reached out to them as a partner manager, it's best to have a little bit more ammunition than just here's the incentive structure and here's some case studies for some agencies doing really well in our program. Have a little bit something more tangible to say we're going to become partners, and that means that you've got to learn and use the tool, and I don't want to charge you to do that, so here's an account type thing.
So Alex, one thing that I might add there, if you don't mind me jumping in, is knowing when to offer that free account. Instead of like leading with it and saying we're going to give this to you up front, we actually wait until we get through. Like, so for us, when a new partner onboarding, kind of what that cycle looks like is usually a discovery call, which is like, I'll show you mine if you show me yours. Let's talk about our IPP and if there's a fit or not. And then we ask them to do a demo or take time to go through a demo so we can introduce them to the product. And that's a training opportunity for us to be able to show the agency how to navigate through Trustpilot and like our back end. And then it's like, all right, once you get through that, we're going to put that as the next stage. Once you complete the training, we'll give you the access to that free account. But like, you need to get through these stages in order to be given that. It's not like I'm just going to throw you a free account and then you're never going to use it. Because then you have low adoption and then you've just lost a bargaining chip, if you will, if you look at it that way. In the demo is what we use to get our first referral from the agency. So after the discovery call of like figuring out if there's a fit, we ask them if they have a client in mind or if they have one that they want us to use on that demo as the example. So we walk them through like how we prospect and all the pain points that we can identify for that specific client, which then garners our first referral, and then we give them their free account.
Yeah, so it could be a part of your nurturing sequences after a certain stage has happened, a pipeline stage has happened. They could get that email with that free account, like you've crossed this and now here it is. For cold outreach, the conversations to get them into your funnel, it's still wanting to work together, keep it open, keep it pretty fluid, and make sure that they're telling you what they need out of your product and what they need out of you personally. And then have your ammunition, obviously, where you can come to them with co-marketing stuff to make sure that the relationship stays positive right out of the gate. and it's reciprocal, right? So you're giving them stuff, and then they'll say, okay, well, yeah, I got to give you back whatever in return. And hopefully that's a referral right out of the gate. Okay, very cool. So I took some notes. I'm going to hit stop on the recording unless anybody has any more questions, and I'll email everybody the recording with the notes. But any final questions for anyone at all?
I guess I do have one question, actually, on this last topic you mentioned. So I was just reflecting my own experiences. So at FreshBooks and OLARC, we had a huge inbound funnel because we were dominating our categories. That's always nice. I'm not in that same position right now, so now I'm outbounding. But it's right. Like agencies look for products first the same way customers look for products. So they're trying to solve a problem, and they'll find something, and then they'll find something that fits their particular circumstances. So your agency partner program just answers some questions they might have, like how do you create a client account? Okay, data is a big problem, like billing, those kind of issues. I bind solve all of them, but besides that, what Alex, like when you're outbounding someone, an agency who doesn't have a problem yet, hasn't experienced it, but you want to put the arrow in their quiver, what's this cycle like? Like obviously you're not going to expect an activation immediately, but what is that? What are you trying to leave behind with them?
Yeah, so we're in a different boat because we do have a group buying sort of mentality where I can go to an agency that does a whole lot of different things, and I've got a number of different things that I can do with that agency, from profiles and co-marketing and all sorts of stuff. So it's a little bit different. I'm not one product speaking from one angle, which does make it a little bit trickier, where you've got to be very specific with timing and how you reach out to them and the phasing of it. But the hook, like we're going to hear from Chase and some of these other guys, I mean, the hook for all of these top agencies that have a pretty well-defined stack, where they're doing their marketing XYZ and they're selling the same retainers, they're doing the same thing, to get involved in that stack is first and foremost, what is the relationship going to be built around at the start. So there's phases to that relationship. And every time we hear the same thing, it's irrelevant. The product itself is irrelevant at that stage. So if you do not have the inbound that Leadfeeder has from all the traffic and agencies signing up to use, and same thing with Trustpilot, if you're dealing with you've got to have an outbound strategy, and that's the only way you're going to get new partners in. It has to be very much about, hey, we're going to create this awesome content relationship and this co-marketing relationship with select partners, maybe bring some old stale pipeline leads to the table for partners that we really like. And we're going to work closely with you, and we're going to make sure that we create some awesome thought leadership based content. We're going to create this awesome co-selling relationship. We're going to do all this one-to-one type stuff with the select partners, meaning the ones that you really want. Those will get the top partners. Now, anybody that is in need of tool, like I said, if you hit them at the right time and they were thinking about how they're going to add this type of service automation XYZ product, then yes, they can start a conversation based around that. But the one thing we know for almost certain, those that will reply to your commission based emails are the ones that maybe make affiliate marketing a part of their business, where they are creating really long form blog posts and adding links to different tools and just mentioning it, so depending on your strategy and your tool and how you like those types of leads, I think most of the people on the call would not benefit much from that type of strategy. But the ones that will reply and will work with you closely, as long as you lead with, hey, it's me coming to you, I've got all this in my corner, you've got this intention, this end goal of whatever it is, more clients, maybe retention on clients, maybe just thought leadership. Maybe that agency owner is looking to just maybe buy another agency, do something, but find out what that is and find out ways that you can work closely with them to get that done or be a part of it or help in any way. And then the product comes second, third on that list, and they'll look at that later. But that's the way we lead. But I don't know if that answers your question, Sunir, on how they really, what incents them, Yeah.
I've got
it does. Thank you.
Yeah, Nick, sorry.
Yeah, I was just going to say a really awesome talk, really great stuff here, and just building on what Ashley was saying. I love your proactive engagement of the sales guys to surface agency actors. You're basically, obviously, I've observed in the sales team there's certain sales guys who want to engage the partnership program, and there's certain who don't, have quite a bit more of a short-termist mind, and they're kind of not too non-pulsed about the partnership program. So the ones who you know, to encourage certain behaviors, where you have a referral, you can pass them on to them. I find that's quite useful methodology. But also, I was quite cool your little reporting to find any agencies you're missing. The Salesforce reporting, it's great, but occasionally I find it quite clunky. But there's a great tool. I'm completely objective here, but there's a tool called Gong, which is that's quite awesome intelligence gathering. But, yeah.
We've been looking at Gong. I don't know how or when we may pull the trigger on it, but I've heard good things. In the meantime, my wonky Salesforce reports do the trick. But you have to know where to look. I know everyone's Salesforce is not set up the same. But you can also look at things like who the buyer was and their email, and whether or not it matches the domain or the website of the account that was purchased. So we look for like other players that might be involved in those accounts as well by looking at the contacts.
Nice.
Tricky business.
And Cognizant, by the way, everybody, that's Nick from Cognizant.com. They're a big B2B data provider in London. And yeah, just got Partner Stack and are building that out as we speak. So they're going to be in a position to do this funnel stuff that Carol's doing and some of the cool stuff that Ashley's doing as well. So it's going to be an interesting ride. Data's big right now, and we all need data to fuel our partners.
And hopefully contribute more to the roundtable next time.
Yeah, and everyone, yeah, if you do have any feedback in Slack about what is the biggest pain points and stuff that we can do this roundtable type format that's not in the accelerator, please let me know. And then with regard to your question, Carol, on copywriting, we do have a copywriting in general, more for landing page stuff at the end of the accelerator, but I can push that way up if it's a big need, or maybe even have two to where we ask, I think John is doing that, to do one specific to outreach stuff and funnel stuff. So like he tore apart my funnel, and it was some of the best information I've had from the website and how I actually approach both sides. So we made those changes based on his suggestions, and they're not great, so don't look at them. But point is, the biggest thing that we see, and we did this in the incentives one-on-one, and hopefully some of you saw those videos, but the way people set up their landing pages, their partner landing pages, and the way they talk to partners, like section 1 versus section 2 versus section 3. And when you get to those sections on the partner incentives, how you talk to each one of those incentives. We mention I forget, I'll share the link, but this one partner page, and I'm spacing on the name, but they go as far as to say, we will highlight you in content quarterly. Every quarter we do this, this, and this, and we include this many partners in each one. And then they say thought leadership, blah, blah, blah. It's in one of the actual, those grids of the incentives, little icon, title, and incentive. And they talk specifically about how they co-market with partners, about how they highlight them, the thought leadership component, and how they co-sell with them on that landing page, which I have rarely seen. So I'll share the links, check those out, and then if you want to talk about copy specific to emails, I'll try to get one of those sessions put together for you.
That'd be great. And just piggyback what you've said off of like all that sounds great in terms of offering agencies all these special perks and quotes and blogs, and like have you seen other companies have like their own partnership marketing team, how robust it is? I know I asked Ash, and she says there's one partner marketing person per region, like basically per country. So like that's like not a lot of resources, and I feel like it's like a full-time job. So I want to know like, what other people's experiences are, or like if there's gonna be a session on that too. Partner marketing. I can see if we can do a roundtable on that. We can do partner marketing plus how you actually go about formalizing whatever that marketing is and how you get it done. Based on small and large teams. And I think everybody in here is on a pretty small-ish team.
my conversations with people that I'm always suggesting do co-marketing, involve your partners in everything. The way you frame it for marketing is you have to kind of package it up to where, yes, they would have to do the interview. You don't have time to do all these interviews, and they're the content people. They know what keywords to focus on. But if you collaborate on a sheet that says title of the article, what questions you want asked, and what type of agency that you want included, and marketing and partnerships are on that sheet, what you do is you just have, as you have someone on the phone, or as you have someone we refer or whatever, you fill out that sheet with this agency is going to comment on this article. Here's the publishing date. And as soon as you have something ready, you just tag your content person in a comment, or you get them in the calendar, and you just get it done. And then it's content for them, which they have to do anyways. And we've even seen benefits of retroactive. When they have to refresh old content, their job with refreshing content is they have to add and remove old content. The best way to do that is I've got an agency who's an expert in that right here, and just ask them that question, have them fill out a paragraph, and send that to your content person to refresh all those old posts. The agency got a backlink, they love it, and you've got refreshed content. So check that out. And by the way, this is that HubSpot focused marketing, partner marketing page that I mentioned. If you open that page and you scroll down to the benefits section, the exclusive agency partner program benefits, look at the last two, co-marketing and then extra visibility, and how they actually go in deeper and say exactly how they highlight their partners. I thought that was just really rare to see. I see a lot of partner pages. I don't see that often. And I'd say it's best practice. So we can end there.